Well, let's talk about a little bit of something. We're gonna touch on to how a lot of black women nowadays they actually believe their deflection will be their resurrection. What do you mean by that, Blizz? Oh, so happy you asked. You see, when you ever pin them down, when you ever corner them mentally and verbally, and you ask them simple questions, why they operate the way they do, you point out the double standard that they only follow when it's convenient for them. What they'll do is they'll throw in something completely unrelated to the conversation at hand. Completely unrelated. You don't have to go no further than that article in Psychology Today about the so-called men being lonelier now than at any time in modern history. Men being lonelier than they've ever been. And you bring this to black women, the modern day B-dub. And you explain to them how actually it's the complete opposite. Because if you actually took the time out of your so-called busy schedule, if you was to actually take the time to get to know men, you would know, first of all, after reading the article, it would have clicked in your mind. After reading the first few sentences, after reading the first few paragraphs, it would have clicked in your mind that this article is full of shit. But we know why y'all wanted to fall in line and believe what they were talking about. Because it's like a fairy tale land drug. Black women they got high off of reading what they were reading in that article, even though the article is totally false. Because if you know anything about men, you would know that we like spending time to ourselves. We have no problem with being alone at all. Give us a dog, nice dog who's going to be naturally loyal to us anyway. And that's all we need. Because when it comes to getting that taco, there's a lot of women out there we can get that from if that's all we want. If that's the only fulfillment that we're looking to fulfill at the time, we can find that taco anywhere. If it's that serious. And for some of us that's used to talking to women, we've been talking to women our whole lives. We've been talking to women since we were 12, speaking about myself in that sense. It's never been hard. I didn't have a lot of the obstacles that a lot of you weird dudes have. Some of you are weird because of the way you physically look, your physical appearance. And I ain't talking about working out or anything like that. I'm talking about growing up as adolescents. Some of you dudes look weird even back then. So you probably got teased by a lot of girls making fun of you. You look like this, you dress like this. And that might have scarred you for some years. Then as you got older, you got your money up. And you start using your money as a way for you to get some of that tuna box. Because you're awkward, you're weird. So that's all you know. But somebody that's like used to it, used to interacting with women all the time, just you notice things sooner in society. I mean, I noticed society changing as the 90s was coming to an end, as we were entering the 2000s, as far as the dating market and how women were acting and how they put so much emphasis on what's between their legs. The one and only bargaining chip that they have in modern society anyway. And the majority of women that I've dealt with over the years, from school to my adulthood, has been black women, has been American black women. So these experiences are not just some pie in the sky type talking points that I heard throughout my life. No, not even close. I know from experience, even from my homies. Them niggas historically, the majority of them dated majority black women. And the crazy thing is, we don't even have to have known or even met or even spoken to the women that we've dated. And once we get to telling our stories, our interactions, giving examples, explaining things, we would all notice we all have very similar stories dealing with this modern day black woman. Even today, they love throwing the monkey wrench of deflection right in your face. Let's not talk about that, because I don't have a comeback for the facts that you're spitting. So let me change this whole conversation. Allow me to redirect this conversation into another direction. Hopefully long enough for you to forget what you were talking about. Maybe you'll have a lapse in memory. Maybe I can get you to thinking about something else. Historically, that's always been their strategy, because they don't want to work on themselves. They don't think they do anything wrong. Have you ever asked the modern day black woman, out of all her relationships, marriages, etc., that have failed in the past, is there something that you, if you could go back in time, is there something that you would take back, would do over? Is there something you would or would not say? Is there anything that you would change in your past, in your dating patterns of the past? Is there anything? What you'll notice with all of them, as soon as you ask that question, there's a long pause. Some of them might even throw in a little bit of sound effects. Well, no. Well, see, the thing is just dragging on a conversation. That's their way of, you basically asked her a digital question, and it tripped her up so bad, her brain started operating like a cassette deck, like a tape deck. Remember those tape decks from the old school? When they used to get all tangled up, you used to have to use a number 2 pencil to straighten them out to get them to operating correctly. That's the equivalent of black women's brain when you corner them like that and you ask them real legitimate questions as far as their behavior. And the whole mission of them distracting is to create a new holier than thou image moving forward. They know they fucked up. They know all the things that they claim they want, the ultra high, just unrealistic fairy tale, Tyler Perry movie style, cartoonish things that they ask from men, black men especially. It's just ridiculous. Only a cyborg programmed through Skynet is that perfect of a man to even come close to fulfilling the unrealistic requests of the B-dub in modern day society. And they know this. It's not possible. So they throw it out there knowing that it's impossible for you to reach those goals. And simultaneously, while they're doing that, while they're stringing you along and trying to get you to be Mr. Perfect, Mr. Flawless, make you a flawless human being, of which does not exist on this planet anyway, but they want you to chase that little ball of string, the little ball of yarn that you see a lot of cats like to play with. She's treating you like her future roommates. Because, yeah, she's going to be a future cat lady. So what she's doing is she's going to treat you like her future roommate. Distract you. Meanwhile, never addressing the things that have really gone wrong in her past. Because in her mind, she has done nothing wrong, ever. Ever in her life. You can meet her at the gym. Both of you working out. Boom, 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 this and that. You strike up a conversation with her. You guys go out. You hang out. Get to talking on a normal basis. You hit them cakes. Now, all of a sudden, y'all in a serious relationship. Seriously dating now. How about that? Seriously dating now. When you go to the gym, even though in the beginning she saw with her own eyes, right there, standing there in the flesh, she saw how you grind to get your gains in the gym. You might be there 2 hours, 3 hours, getting your gains. But now that you're in a serious relationship with this woman, and let's say she stopped working out over the years for whatever reason, because it's rare anyway, work out anyway, but let's say you met her in that environment. You guys got together, she stopped working out. She started gaining weight like they usually do. Now when you go to the gym, doing your normal routine, what you've always done, what you were doing that shit before you even met her. You was doing the shit the whole time. You've been doing it the whole time y'all been together. Now all of a sudden, she wants to accuse you of you're not at the gym for 2 or 3 hours. Where do you really be going? What do you really be doing? Now, mind you, if she was to exercise any semblance of common sense, she would just look at you and she'll look at your body. Are you gaining an excess amount of weight? Is your body fat index, is it increasing? Basically, does it look like you still work out? Anybody with common sense would just be able to look at that and say, okay, he's still in great shape. Obviously, he's not lying to me. I met him in the gym. When I was working out with him, we used to work out for long periods of time. He continued this routine, so common sense should tell me that he's where he said he was at the gym. But they don't look at it like that. See, they want to deflect your attention because the truth of the matter is what's really going on is somebody else has probably caught her eye. Or, you know, with a lot of these black women, you have to be an award-winning actor. You have to be one of the top 3 comedians in the world. You have to be one of the top 7 entertainers on the planet, because it's all about making her feel the way she wants to feel. It does not matter what you think and what you feel. It doesn't matter the amount of stress you may or may not be under. None of that shit matters. All that matters is what she wants. And in that process of trying to get what she wants, she's going to create all types of opportunities to deflect. And that deflection is so that she can make herself look better in the end. Knowing all these years she was acting like a piece of shit. But she'll never admit that to herself. Because it's always your fault. It's always the man's fault. It's always the black man's fault when dealing with the B-dub. Picture that. Why none of us should be surprised ever. See, these black bras, they want to resurrect their image at your expense. Treat you any kind of fucking way. They don't give a fuck about you. Not at all. When they're done using you up, they're going to wring you out like a dirty, wet dish rag. That's how you're going to look. Like an old dish rag with all the fibers tearing from the seams. You're going to be looking like you're fit for the garbage can. Then she'll be on to the next one. On to the next simp who's willing to allow her deflection to become reality. Because she's never going to address what she has done wrong, has said wrong. She's never going to try to address that. It's always going to be about something else. They are the master of changing the subject when they can't answer a legitimate question. Instead of actually addressing the legitimate question that was asked, like an adult, maybe they would be able to come to the conclusion of what they should work on involving themselves. But see, that sounds like too much right. That sounds like a solution to a problem. A lot of these black women, they don't want a solution to the problem. They want to keep living in their feelings. If their feelings was a house, it would be a mansion. They don't want to leave. They're comfortable. They go outside, the truth might smack them in the face. They don't want that. No, they do not want that. They want to keep swimming in the river of feelings and keep deflecting and keep making everything someone else's fault. It's always the man's fault. And they have a lot of simp dudes willing to carry their tea for them. Willing to carry the platter for them. Like, yep, it's men's fault. Men shouldn't be doing this and shouldn't be doing that. Instead of sticking to the subject at hand. When a woman does something wrong, stick to the subject. Stop developing, you dudes need to stop developing ADD and concentrate on the conversation at hand. Because women will throw that curveball at you. And it usually starts with the question, well, what about the men? That's a double standard. Why men can do such and such, but when women do it, we're perceived as this and that. And no matter how many times you explain it, how detail oriented your explanation is, they don't ask the question to truly hear the answer and understand the answer. They're waiting for a break in your response so that they can continue talking. They just want to talk. They don't want an answer. And that's what we have to understand as men. But see, when you deal with other races of women, and I'm not talking about the Americanized brandage of any group of women, because we all know once they partake in the sweet nectar of the American westernized mindset, that's all they want. Once they get a taste of it, now all of a sudden they too want a monopoly of the westernized benefits that always fall in favor of women. And a lot of black women are feeding into this ideology hook, line, and sinker. Because they know everything is going to benefit them in the end. So anytime you corner them and you ask them legitimate questions, why, it could be something simple as, if you are such an expert on what a real man is and how real men should treat their women and how to identify a man of husband potential. If these women are such experts at this is their expertise, according to them. When you ask them, well, is that what your husband thinks? Is that what your husband says about this topic? And if you notice, when you throw that type of curveball at them, they usually say, I don't have a husband. Okay, fair enough. Well, what does your boyfriend say about this? What does your man have to say about this, the way you're talking? I'm single. I don't have a man or a husband. Oh, really? But you the expert. You don't have that, but you're the one that they're supposed to come to for advice. You know what you're talking about, even though you don't even have a man. You don't have a husband. Well, that's besides the point. Why these men don't like to get in hot air balloons and fly over major metropolitan cities? How about that? What? Oh, wait a minute. What does that have to do with what the fuck we're talking about? Deflection. Black women love this technique. Looking for the deflection for their resurrection. But that's not going to work either. Because it's not just black men that have caught up to your bullshit. The world has caught up to you. And it was easy to do because a lot of the women of other races that have been walking and running around with this feminism mindset and bullshit of targeting men unnecessarily, even in situations that don't even make sense. Don't have anything to do with anything. That's why men all over have had enough. It's gotten to the point where it's like, you know what, fuck this. We're going to start overturning some of these laws on the books that heavily favor women. Roe v. Wade was only the beginning. This is why there's a much more serious effort being placed into the science and the technology of actually, even though the conversations were being had for decades prior anyway, it wasn't necessarily a serious, effort as far as birth control pills for men. It was basically a bunch of talk. They were kind of dragging their feet about it. Well, apparently that it seems like the pace has picked up quite a bit, actually, to where I'm predicting within the next 3 to 5 years there will be a normalized birth control pill over the counter for men. Now, of course, initially they might start it out as you need a prescription. You need a prescription in the beginning, just like women and their birth control pills. So it'll probably start out at that. But I'm willing to bet 3 to 5 years it's going to be available to the public. 5 to 10 years, there will be variations of the birth control pill for men, and I'm willing to predict, and I'm willing to bet money on it. Within the next 10 years, at some point, you'll be able to buy some form of a male birth control pill at your local GNC or whatever vitamin store is in your local area. Walgreens, CVS. It's going to be in the vitamin section in your local everyday store that you pass by on a daily basis without a second thought, unless you need to go in there and get something. It's going to be readily available just like that. And I'm willing to bet there's a lot of women out there just dreading that day, because that will be the day that the child support baby mama hustle will truly burst. That bubble will truly burst. So y'all can go ahead and try to resurrect y'all little image. It's too late for that. Deflecting, trying to change the topic, trying to change the subject because you don't want to address what's really going on. Go ahead and keep doing it. Because when you get older and you're living in your apartment full of cats, trying to figure out whose turn it is to cook tuna, you're going to think back at the time that you had the chance to change direction. You had the chance to fix what was wrong in your life, but you chose not to. You had the chance to actually get a husband if you was able to humble yourself just enough to address what's really wrong in your life. The common denominator of the problems in your dating life, in your mating life, is you, the modern day black woman. And yes, when it comes to modern women as a whole, yes, there's a lot of women of other races that also engage in this nonsense. But when it comes to the Americanized, westernized black woman, y'all have switched into overdrive. Y'all took the feminism baton And as soon as y'all took the baton, y'all took a needle full of steroids, HGH, testosterone, all that shit, and just injected it straight in you, and just took off with it. And y'all are so stubborn. Not only do y'all not want to admit what y'all have done, but now y'all want to double down on it. Now y'all want to double down like a child in a supermarket throwing a temper tantrum because his parents said no. You cannot have those chocolate chip cookies. So what does the kid do? Start screaming, hollering, crying, kicking his legs on the floor, doing the curly shuffle without Mo and Larry, the whole nine. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a mic. The guy with a mic don't know what he's talking about, even though he's seen quite a bit of the same bullshit over the decades. Y'all try to cultivate a new image for yourselves while simultaneously doubling down on the most egregious, promiscuous, debaucherous image that you can possibly project in modern day society. And y'all had the audacity to think it makes y'all look strong and independent. Stubborn and independently stupid, maybe. Because when people try to help you in your dating choices, your mating choices, the one thing that has happened is you guys break your neck turning down that help. You don't want any type of help because you know everything about everything, according to you. But no matter how much y'all deflect, one thing y'all don't know is how to be the most married women in America. Y'all don't know that. The stats prove that. Oh, well, those statistics that you cite, those are biased. They were probably written by a man, right? Some of y'all actually say and believe that shit. So let me guess. The only stats that you will accept is if it's written by a woman. Oh, I get it. So if I do find some stats that's written by a woman, those can't count either because that woman is probably a pick-me. Where's her husband at? Another deflection tactic, huh? She don't know what she talking about. She wear blue shoes. What? Yeah, that's the type of shit y'all like to do. Instead of addressing the statement, talk about something else. It's too bad for y'all because the best y'all gonna be able to accomplish is joining the side chick society, because a lot of y'all, it's over with as far as y'all finding a husband. Y'all can forget that shit. The ship has sailed on that, and a lot of you black women are gonna continue to be single and lonely and not know why even though you've been told why. But a lot of you are so stubborn and pig-headed. Instead of embracing reality and trying to make corrections to make yourself a better person, you'd rather double down. You'd rather double down on your nonsense and bullshit. And then when it don't work out, because it never does, blame black men. Blame men in general. It must be a man's fault because it can never be a woman's fault. Because you know why? Because a black woman just bought a new purse. Want to see the colors of a new purse? Yeah, that's the type of shit y'all do. But anyway, I'm about to sign off on this joint. Never fall for the black woman's tricks. Of the deflection being her resurrection. The shitty image that they have, they earned it. Let them wear it. I'm out. Peace.